So what I'm going to do today is show you how we're currently shooting drinks, products, cosmetics, all of that sort of thing, because it's really changed from the previous lighting styles. I'm going to give you a full breakdown and show you exactly how to do it. We've got a screen recording going here at the same time, so we'll show you the frames as they pop up. I'm going to talk about the kit, the camera settings, and the stylistic approach. What we've got here is a branched chain amino acids caffeine drink that I accidentally drank not knowing there was caffeine in there. We've gone for the same colour blue background, because that's very trendy at the moment to have that monochromatic look. So it's blue on blue. We've got it on a plinth, and the plinth is black, and the reason we've gone for a black plinth is because we don't want any reflections on this tiny silver bit at the bottom of the tin here. We won't have the plinth in shot, it's purely just to get it sort of at the right angle. You'll also notice we're using a standing desk, and that's so I don't have to lay on the floor. We've raised the desk up and lowered the camera to a comfortable working height. I can go and grab my chair, pop it down here, and whilst I'm working and focusing, I'm at a comfortable position. So that's really important. That's why we shoot on a standing desk at the moment. Not what they're designed for, but they are quite good at it. Now, I've already gone ahead and got the first frame, which is almost pitch black. We've got a slight bit of light here from the window, which normally we wouldn't have, but of course, if we get rid of that, you can't see anything in the video. So assume it's pitch black. Frame number one sorted. There's nothing going on. I'm going to talk you through the lighting and then the modification of the lighting. I've already got my camera settings dialed in here. We've got f16, 125th of a second, and 100 ISO. It's a Fuji GFX 100S, a Mamiya Secor lens, and a Cambo Actus MV body. And this allows us to do loads of cool stuff. And this big stand here is just my salon stand for the studio. We're going to start off, as I always do, with the key light, and then we'll start to balance things in. So I've got a couple of Broncolor packs down here. These are the Scoro E's. If I just turn on the first one, there we go, we've got the modeling light coming on. So the light coming off this now is just so we can see what we're doing. I've got it dialed into, where are we at? 1800 watts, so quite a lot of light. It's about a metre above. We've not finessed the position yet. We'll get a frame, see if we're too bright, too dark, and all the rest of it. Firing from computers, because we don't want to knock anything here in case there's anything in post afterwards. Let's wait for that big old file to come through. There we go, so there's our first frame. It's a bit hot at the top, and it's a bit uneven, but it's a good start. And you can also see the background currently is completely pitch black. So the first thing I'm going to do is just move this along, take the brakes off. Well, actually, would it be better just to move the boom along? That might be easier. There we go. And it's angled straight down at the moment, just straight down, not at the can, it's actually coming slightly in front of it. But let's grab a frame of that and see how we're looking. Now, of course, we're going to have a hot spot at the very top because of the shape of the can. There's things we can do to that later, but for now, I just want to get it centered a bit more. It needs to be a little bit further over this way, so we will have to take the brakes off. Now, usually, I'd have an assistant helping me here, and that allows me to look at the image through the viewfinder whilst the light is being adjusted. Give it a good kick. So we're going to go a little bit further over. There we go. We'll grab another frame, see how we're looking. That's it, that's perfect. I feel like it's a bit wonky though in frame, the actual can. So let's just level up that a bit more. Jump in here. And for this, we'll use the actual tripod to level it. I just feel like we need to go a little bit this way, perhaps, maybe a bit back. That looks better. And we are shooting up at an angle, so we will get those converging lines. Just keep that out of frame. Perfect. Now I've got a bit of movement on the lens already here with the tilt, just so we can get it in focus top to bottom. Normally, if we focused at the bottom, this top bit would be completely gone. So we've just adjusted that. You do it with the tilt shift lens as well, and that gives us good focus front to back. We're just going to recheck the focus. That looks good to me. There's a lot that's gone a little bit there, hasn't it? Let's just dial that in. Now the problem with focusing on these cans and any sort of thing like this is that often your camera's in focus, but the printing isn't. So you need to sort of focus on the grain as if it was an old enlarger sort of job. because you want to get the print in focus, which isn't in focus. So these little dots we're looking at, so let's wait for that to come through. There we go. So you see we've got all the dust in focus, even though the print's not perfect. But there we go. So the can's looking good. We've got as much of the writing in as we can on both. So maybe we can rotate it a bit to the right to get a bit more of the N. So just give that a very slight shimmy across. There we go. Still looking a little bit wonky. Let's just try and balance that up a bit more. Of course, I've got like a little bubble down here which shows me when the camera's level, but the problem is the camera can be as level as you want, but if nothing else is, oh, I've got a bit of a flicker on the monitor there. So just grab a quick frame of this. This is the camera being level. Let's see how out of it the can is at this point. So to me, it's going slightly to the left, just need to compensate a tiny little bit. Try it there. Oh, wrong way, other way. Smidge less. And that should be close enough now. Brilliant. So we've got that in place. We've got enough of the N, enough of the O. Everything's looking okay. What we're going to do now is light the background. So we've got another head back here with a reflector on it. And the important thing in this is I'm not shooting the light at the background, but across the background. Because if we shoot it straight at it, we'll get hot spots. It's too close for the inverse square law. But if we have it miles back, we're going to get too much spillage on the subject. So we'll get a quick frame of that. I'm not even sure what power it's on. It's just wherever it last was. So we're at... Okay, 4. We're on a 4. That's pretty good. It's a bit hot still in the middle and not at the top, so we're going to raise the light up a little bit and feather it away a bit further. There we go. And we'll get a frame of that. Now, this whole background will be replaced anyway, but it's nice to have something which looks good in camera. That's looking a bit more even. Very good. Okay, so we've got that sorted. The next thing I do is I turn off my key light, and we're just going to see how the background light is affecting the subject, because this is very important. I can already see a few issues, but let's see what comes up on this frame here. There we go. So you can see we've got a hot spot on that top left-hand corner. So we need to flag the light. So a flag is a black bit of material like this, and we've got to get it in here to stop it from affecting this. We're going to get a C-stand with a knuckle and a boom arm and just boom this in. Now, part of the trick here is to make sure you don't end up in like a C-stand hell where there's just lights and stands everywhere. Much easier when you've got a helping set of hands, but for me, I'm just going to make sure that the legs are going over each other nicely. There we go. And that we've got a big leg over a small leg. These cables here will need a bit of a tidy up. You can see if I pull them out, there's nothing catching. So we're going to get this into the knuckle at the top. I'm going to put it at the angle I want, which is about here. And then we'll just boom this in. Make sure it's nice and tight. You'll notice the tennis balls on the far side. These are so I don't poke my eyes out, which is very useful. There we go. So we'll bring this in here. I can already see the light hitting the back of this, so I know it's doing something. It's just whether we've got it right or not. We'll start there. There we go. Give that a frame and see whether we've got rid of that little reflection. Perfect, so that's now gone. And it's also not coming into frame, so we've got a clean frame still. Perhaps could bring it in a little bit closer if it's not doing any harm composition yet, just to make sure. We'll get it in as close as we can. We don't really want to be masking a can off a black and a blue background. It's easier to do it with a single colour. Perfect, that's still good. So we'll turn the key light back on. And now we're going to look at what the shot looks like with the two of them together. But this is not the finished product yet. We still need a bit more finessing going on here. So the next thing I want to deal with is that hot spot at the top. So we're going to take a finger, which is one of these, and we're just going to bring it in just to try and take off a bit of light from the top. But what we don't want to do is take light off the can. So again, it's going to be a C stand and some extreme fiddling. Now, just for ease here, I'm going to bring this in from the other side, just so we don't have too many stands on one side. Often we'll leave like a big gap on one side like this for the stylist to get in, but as it's just me, we'll keep it simple. There we go. So what I'm going to do now is just bring this in, and I want it to shade the top, but not the actual can. Let's try there to start with. Perfect. Now we've lost a little bit too much light on the N, so I'm just going to have to, I think it's because it's angled a bit like this. Let's try there. And what you'll see here is down the sides of this camera is beautiful thick black lines of shadow, and that's what we want. Before we'd always go for these like scrimmed lights. You'd have these like scrims at the side and like gradations along it, but that sort of went out of fashion about 10 years ago. And this is much more in keeping with what people want at the moment. We'll spend an awful long time finessing this. Just go a bit higher to soften it. There. Because we still want a burnt out clipped highlight at the top. Like a lot of people try and avoid the clipped highlights, but what we want is a clipped highlight. If this isn't blown out here, we lose that hard light look, and that's really important to this style. Now it's too much now. Gone too far. We'll just dial it back a bit. So it's going to pull this whole stand just back a bit here. Let's try it there. Brilliant, there we go. So we've got still a bit of a hot spot, not too much. Got these beautiful black shadows at the side, so it's nice and crisp. I mean, it's a slightly battered can, but we'll ignore that for the time being. All we need now is a bit of spritz on there to make it look chilled. So let's just spray it into something first, or at least a rug. So quick in the bin. There we go. Now this stuff here, if you get it on the concrete floor, it's lethal. So we're going to spritz this in. Get a quick frame of that. Might have over-spritzed a little, but we get the point. The next thing we do is we dive in, we do a quick grade to check what we have available to us. So if we push the punch and the clarity quite a bit, that's nice. We'll come down to our levels. Let's really bring that contrast in. Very good. And I like to just go for a pre-sharpen number 2 as a default. We should have beautifully crisp when it loads. There we go. Beads of water on there. Beautiful dark shadows. We've slightly over-egged it on the spritz, but you get the gist of what we're aiming for here. It's a nice chilled can, and it looks modern and contemporary. And this works for shampoo, obviously without the spritz. Cosmetics, bottles, the whole lot. It's a slight different work when we have got a drink behind it with clear sort of stuff going on, but generally speaking, it's the exact same idea. Hard light from above, even light on the background, and this is what makes most of our jobs what they are. If you want to see more of these, let me know in the comments below what you'd like to see me shoot. I'll see you all soon. Bye-bye. Good. Is that okay?
There we are, yep.
Right, let's clean up, and I'll do another one. I'll leave you to edit. I'll clean that mess off that softbox as well.